cool. Yeah. I go by Charmae. It's my middle name and my artist name. My
Got
real
it.
name's Ashley, or first name's Ashley. Um, it's kind of interesting because when I picked an artist name, it was like 5 years ago. I didn't know what the hell to pick. I was like, how do I name myself? And a friend suggested your middle name's cool. And it's funny because I always hated it growing up. It was just a weird name because my mom like took my two grandmas' name and put them together because they were like arguing about whose name should be my middle name, I guess. And I ended up finding out like 2 years ago on a Google search, like I Googled what the meaning of Charmae means, and it means a singer in Latin. And I was like,
Oh, that's sick.
yeah, I was like, what the hell? So yeah, I go by Charmae. I'm a vocalist. I do a lot of top lines for pretty sick producers. I've had, a lot of collabs on like Circus Records mostly, and Deadbeats and Subsidia, Underdog, of course. I know I'm forgetting some stuff for sure. I'm
Yeah, I
forgetting
did.
one.
I did a little intro at the beginning of this episode, my portion of it, because I do. I play three songs at the beginning and do, you know, beginning of the episode intro. So I did kind of go over that already before. So if you forgot anything, I'm sure I already covered it. But
Oh, sweet.
yeah. So
Cool.
and you are also. This isn't. I want to talk to you, but I am going to ask about this later. You are, so people are aware, you are dating Prototype.
Yeah. We live together. He's in
Yeah.
the other room.
Yeah, that's sick. Sweet.
Yeah, we have fun.
Yeah. So starting all the way back before you actually worked in the music industry, like when you were just a fan, like what was that portion? Like how did you get into everything?
It's kind of funny, and I'll try to not, drag it out too long. But when I first started, I was like super into hip hop growing up, like deep, like very very about that life. And I was also really into like Motown and jazz, and like I love Billie Holiday and Ray Charles and stuff like that. And so I had like I always knew I had a good singing voice, but I was too shy to like talk about it or make it a thing. And I never sang in front of anybody until I was like 24, maybe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was bartending at this job and they had karaoke there, and I would just start doing it. And so I was like, okay, I can sing in front of people now, kind of. Um, and it had been something I wanted to do. And I was in an abusive relationship at the time, and I started talking to my boyfriend at the time about it. He's like, oh, you can never do that, it'll never happen, nobody ever makes it or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna break up with you and I'm gonna go do the thing.
Yes.
um and I ended up just like making a Craigslist post, like recording myself, like kind of learning how to record myself. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is what I sound like and this is who I am, and I want to join a band, or whatever. Like, just hit me up if you want to work on some music, because I'm trying to start doing this. And I ended up joining like a 12-piece funk band, and it was sick. It was called Randy Starr and the Players. And Randy, who runs it, he's like an OG. He used to be a bass player for Bootsy Collins and
Oh,
stuff.
that's
And
sick.
like he couldn't believe that I knew all the songs that he showed me, like, because I was just really deep into that, like funk too.
Especially at your
Um
age at that time too.
yeah, it's weird. I
Yeah.
kind of was always into it. I remember like ripping Billie Holiday on Napster. Like, nobody told me to do that. I think I like heard it in a movie one time. And I was like, what is this? And I just like loved jazz always or
That's
whatever.
sick.
So I started out with him, and he really taught me a lot, like just about general music theory, how to be in a band, how to play shows, how to live perform. Like, yeah, I call him my music dad for that reason. And then from there, I kind of branched out. A few of the band members, we kind of put together our own smaller project, and it was a jazz hip hop fusion band. The guy who ran it was Johnny Cool. He's one of my really close friends. So we were the Johnny Cool band, and he's a producer and composer. Um, and we ended up like doing pretty well. Like, we went on a tour. We opened for like Rakim and Digable Planets and Jurassic
Wow.
5 and stuff like that. And our music was good, and it was really fun. But you know how bands are, they break up and they move
Yeah.
on. And um, so actually, when I was 25, my best friend, Damask Shantz, she owns Heartbeats of New York City. She's a promoter, and she throws really sick shows.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
of it. That's a huge thing.
oh, oh, cool, yeah. And
Yeah.
then the co-owner with Damask is Ashlyn Fulton, my other best friend. So
Uh,
we're the three best friends. Um, they started putting me on to electronic music when I was like 25, and it was when I was just kind of like getting a little older, and I was kind of like, I love hip hop always. It's ingrained in my soul, but I was just like, when I went to that festival and I heard this shit and I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? I'm sure like most people are, but I was just like, oh my God, you can do everything. I could put all the jazz and the hip hop and this weird shit all together. This is amazing. Like I just did some weird like manifesting, like I'm gonna do this now. This is what
Yeah.
my new thing is. So I ended up moving to New York. Damask moved before me. I followed close behind, and she was throwing shows, and she had me come out and sing at Webster Hall and open for EPROM. And I didn't have any
I love
electronic.
EPROM.
Me too.
Oh my
Me
gosh.
too. But it's funny because at the time I didn't really know about EPROM.
Yeah.
I loved Rusco, and
Oh,
like
Roscoe's fire.
that was my intro.
Right. That's a
But I
great intro. Fantastic intro. I'm tired of hearing Skrillex and Dead Mouse. It's like, okay, yeah, a lot of us were that, but Roscoe,
everybody says Skrillex.
yeah, right.
I mean, he's obviously the best, but
Obviously,
yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't mine. It was definitely Rusco.
That's
But
sick. I'm definitely into more of his style than like obviously everyone listens to Skrillex, but Rusko, like for me personally, like listening on like a daily basis, Rusko all day
yes,
for sure.
yes. Uh-huh. So even before when I was still doing like all the hip hop stuff, and I was bumping Rusco all the time, and Borgor.
Borgor's fire too. Very much along the lines of the hip hop roots that you have.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's why I liked it, because it
Yeah.
was kind of darker. I don't know. But yeah, my bestie moved to New York and started throwing shows. I was visiting all the time, and I ended up singing. So Heartbeat shows, they do immersive events, so they always have ballerinas. They call them the bass ballerinas, or
Oh,
live
that's sick.
vocalists or
Hmm.
something. Yeah. So I sang At Last by Etta James to open for EPROM, and it made at Webster Hall for my first literally my first performance in New York, just ever doing anything EDM related. That was it. And it made no fucking sense. Like
Yeah.
it was really well received, but it was just like people were like, what is happening? And
Yeah.
I didn't even, I was just like, dude, this doesn't make sense. She was like, you're doing it. I was like, all right. Um, so I started, I moved to New York, and then I started singing at the shows all the time. And it's hilarious because she was having me sing jazz because I didn't have anything else to sing. I didn't have any original music
Right.
yet. She'd kind of make me do it. And I was always kind of like, this is weird, but people always liked it. And that's actually how I met Pat Janga, who's like one of my dear friends.
Yes.
Like he was playing a Heartbeat show, and I sang jazz before his set, and he's like, dude, that's fucking sick. And I was like, all right, I'm glad it's well received. But as I lived in New York and I kept singing jazz at EDM shows, I was just meeting. It just made no sense. Sorry, Damask. It made perfect sense. I take it back. But I started collaborating with people and stuff. And I had been learning about production too. And I was actually going to school at Dubspot when I moved to New York to learn about production. So
Is that
I,
is that kind of like Icon, but like East Coast or okay?
yeah, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Gotcha. I was like, I don't know if I've heard of that. Okay,
Icon is the better
is the
choice.
place. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was just trying to learn about music production and
Yeah.
find a way to get to New York and make it all make
Yeah,
sense. So
absolutely.
I found this school that I could afford to go to, and I went. But what was cool from that is that I got pretty good engineering my own vocals and songwriting and stuff like that. So yeah, I was interning at this studio called East Side Sound in New York after I finished the production program. So I had like this sick studio at my fingertips. So I just started like
That's dope.
recording dry vocals, even sending them
Hmm.
out, and just mostly just through meeting people at shows though, and
Yeah,
like letting them know and sending them stuff. Just made a lot of pretty dope friendships and collaborators and stuff along the way. So
that's awesome.
that's kind of how it started. Yeah. And then I started DJing too, and I just went fully into it. But New York was the place that really set it off for me. It's my favorite place in the world.
You're
That's it.
originally from there, right?
No, I'm originally from Seattle, and
Oh,
then
okay.
when I was doing the jazz band and stuff, I was in New York. I left Seattle to actually pursue music in Portland because I went to Portland, Oregon, because
Gotcha.
I didn't know anybody there, and I wanted to just start over and do something I was afraid to do without
Yeah.
anybody judging me.
Right.
And I didn't have the greatest past in Seattle really, so I was just like, I'm starting over. I'm doing what I want. And I mean, I love Portland. It was just kind of like I felt like I hit a pinnacle as far as how far you can go in the music industry in Portland, Oregon. Like
Yeah,
we
I feel like especially for now that you've fallen into kind of your niche of like bass music, like the only thing that's really up there is like Bass Canyon Excision Show. Like I don't really know of much else. Um,
That's the only one I really know of, and I haven't even
yeah,
been to that one. So,
yeah,
I mean, my first festival ever was What the Festival, and that was over near Oregon, in
yeah,
Oregon.
yeah.
I saw that fight or whatever. Who was
Oh
that?
boy,
No, oh, do you remember the
I don't
the
know if I
D,
even know about this.
the
Story
DJs that
time.
beat the DJ? It was the DJs that beat up the security guard. Oh my God,
Oh,
everybody knows
what?
who they are. Okay, come back. I'll try to think of it. I
Okay,
can't. People will know.
all right.
They like low key got canceled, but they're not fully canceled. It's and like a lot of people hate on them for it. But
I feel like so many freaking producers have gotten canceled the last couple of years. A lot of sexual allegations and all the.
I
It's a
mean,
mess.
I'm here for it though.
Yeah,
At least we
yeah,
give a shit.
100%. Exactly,
You know.
exactly. So you're also, like you were just saying, you're also a producer, on top of being, a vocalist for a lot of top labels and even more incredible producers. But what do you where do you get your inspiration from when you sit down to like write your songs, like
Like my lyrics or my production, because it's
production,
way different.
production?
Oh man, I wish I could tell you. I'm still figuring that out.
Okay,
So I have been producing off and on for 5 years, not 5 years straight.
okay.
And I will go through phases where I will do nothing else for 6 months straight. And then I will be like, I don't want to do this. I'm doing, I'm like, it's also kind of hard to find time with
Yeah,
just making a living. And I'm a little bit older. Like, I wish that I had started when I was young doing
yeah,
production. But not to say that you can't start later. I started at 25 and I'm about to release my first self-produced track. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm the best producer
yeah,
or that I even mixed it myself. But I mean, I did make that shit though.
yeah.
So it's like I'm still learning, and I'm still kind of deciding where I want to go with that. That one track that I did finish took me like months in the beginning of quarantine. I like
Oh boy.
really was like, I need to finish something because
Yeah,
I used to make hip hop beats when I first started in Portland, and I would like sell them for super cheap to like
yeah.
Portland rappers.
What do you
um,
what do you start producing with?
Logic.
Logic, and then are you Ableton now or?
Total, yeah,
Okay,
Ableton. So
yeah.
when I went to production school in New York, it was Ableton. So that's
Gotcha.
when I
Yeah, most
switched.
most schools do teach Ableton, so I'm glad.
Ableton is so sick.
Yeah.
I want 11 so bad because you can comp vocals in it. You can't
Oh
do that
yeah.
in Ableton now.
So when you're writing, now asking kind of the same similar question for your vocals, do you write the vocals for a lot of the songs that you've released on
Yeah,
other people's tracks?
pretty much
Okay.
all of them, except for when somebody has a sick idea that they got from something else that they want me to do and ask. But
Right.
I'd say 99% of them I've written myself.
That's
And
cool.
I guess my process, it's kind of funny, but I'll just open the track and I will just hit record and sing gibberish over it and just like freestyle gibberish literally, and just kind of trust my instinct of whatever
Yeah.
comes out first, because that's what,
Get the feel
like,
for it.
yeah, just get
Yeah.
that very first, just hit play before I have even heard it. Sometimes I'll just do that. And then through the gibberish, there are certain words and syllables
Nice.
and melodies that just kind of come out that
Hmm.
way. And I didn't always do it that way. I used to make it a lot harder on myself by overthinking lyrics and stuff because I like to write poetry and stuff. And I just way overthought it. And once I learned that little trick of just like, oh, this is what a flow state is. Like, this is what people are talking about. I
Yeah.
could never really figure that out. So yeah, that's the way I do it now. It just really kind of writes itself in this weird way. It's weird, but
It's almost kind of like listening to like your intuition kind of.
It
Like,
is. It's like
yeah,
source energy coming
yeah,
through. And I would hear people talk about like flow states, and I would always be like, why do I have writer's block all the time? Like I would
yeah,
take like months sometimes to finish a collab because I would just overthink the shit out of it.
yeah.
And I just stopped doing that, and life has been much
Oh
easier.
yeah. Yeah, when you can stop overthinking, that unlocks the key to your flow state.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't produce, but even just the creative space that I'm in for creating this podcast and stuff, and like my song choices and like who I bring on, like all that stuff. It's just like a lot of times, just like I have a lot of my ideas and my inspiration just by driving around and listening to like my own inner voice. So
Yeah,
I definitely can relate on that.
totally.
You've performed on some big stages, Conrank, obviously Prototype, Jenga. Was there ever a point where you were like nervous to get on stage? I mean, I know you
Every
said,
time.
yeah, every time. Okay, so you still have it. Is there any like
Yes.
coping mechanisms that you use, or any? How do you get through it?
A tiny bit of alcohol.
Yeah,
But it's funny. My mom always says that you always get so nervous before a performance, and then you get up there and you're just in your element. And it's so true. Like I get nervous beforehand, and then the second I get up on stage, even if I'm like DJing or whatever it is,
yeah,
I'm always just like I go into my element and I feel totally fine, and then I feel kind of high afterwards, and it's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
But I would like to ease up on the process a little bit of the nerves, and and it has gotten easier. I've performed
yeah.
and being in bands and stuff. Like I've done it so much. I was in a wedding band for a while. So I mean, I've done it enough. It's not like crippling nerves. It's just like
Right.
the day of the show, I'm all
Yeah.
anxious.
Yeah.
Um,
I get nervous for interviews. I got nervous for today when we were talking.
I mean, me too. I get nervous about everything, but
Yeah. Right.
once you're in it, it's funny because it's just like you realize you're fine,
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally
and
fine.
the nerves are for nothing, kind
Right.
of. But yeah,
But if you didn't have the nerves, I mean, what's that saying? If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
I
So
love that
it's
saying.
almost
Yeah,
a good thing to have nerves before you perform, before you're, interviewed or before you do anything really. Like, it's a good thing because that means it really matters to you, you know?
I agree. Yeah,
No.
100%. And that's a good
Uh,
quote.
yeah, right. um, is there any hopes of you co-producing with someone? I know you do, obviously a lot of collabs with your, being a vocalist, but is there like who would you want to work with, like producing wise?
Well, I've actually thought about that a lot because I do want to start co-producing with people. I feel like I'm at that point where I can kind of hang, but I would
Yeah,
like to obviously co-produce with people that are better than me.
yeah,
So I would probably start out by just hitting up the homies that I've done
yeah.
a lot of vocal work with, and sending them like a skeleton of something I produced, be like,
Hmm.
do you want to work on this with me? And that's gonna happen. I'm gonna do it
Yeah,
soon. I'm constantly doing like 5, 6 different projects, and I'm all over the place. So I need to make the time and actually make a plan for it. But
right.
it's definitely something that I've been wanting to do for a while. So
Nice.
hopefully that'll happen soon.
Yeah. Um, so through all this process of being, an artist yourself and being a vocalist, what has been some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to, rise to fame through and get over as you become more and more famous?
Oh, famous. Definitely self-doubt is the number one thing for me.
Yeah.
But it does get easier, and when you see like another quote, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like, remember when you wanted what you currently have, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so true because when I first started out doing like top lines and stuff, I remember like my very first Circus release was like it still is a big deal, like having a release on Circus, obviously. But now I'm getting, releases all the time, and
Yeah.
I catch myself being like, oh, this isn't enough. I need to do this now. And it's just like I definitely have worked on, like, especially through meditation, just being present in the moment and being grateful for what you have in the moment. And
Yeah.
that was probably my biggest hurdle, and still can be, but it's gotten easier. But in the beginning,
Yeah.
self-doubt, like I said, it would take me months to do write a top line sometimes, and I would write like 10 different versions and like overthink it and like panic and like be late and be like, sorry, I'm late. And it was just it was
Yeah.
not good. And my music's actually better since I stopped doing that too.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
yeah, self-doubt's a bitch, but you can tackle it through multiple different ways. I like meditation personally.
So I'm gonna dive into that. It wasn't really in my questions, but meditation, that's something that I like. I really enjoy doing. It's just like, did you struggle in the beginning? Like, how often do you do it?
I do it every single day.
Okay.
And
So
actually,
I'm in that stage where I'm like, I want to do it. I really like doing it, but it's like I'm not in the habit of doing it yet, and it's just like I'm
I
struggling.
have to do guided meditations pretty
Yeah.
much strictly because I have like legit ADD and I can't do the silent I can't just sit
Yeah.
there in silence. But I actually just got certified to teach guided meditations and I'm going to start doing
Oh,
guided
what?
meditation recordings.
Let me know.
Yeah.
I am down.
Yeah, that's like something I'm going to do this year for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's weird. It kind of started to call to me. I've been listening to guided meditations for years, but especially since quarantine. I was like, yes, it is hard in the beginning, and I think it is like that for everybody.
Yeah.
But once you do it more, like for me, I like to be lazy sometimes, and like
Right.
I view it as like an excuse. I just am like, this is my excuse to go be lazy, and
Right.
like I can go be alone and sit there and relax and
Yeah.
do this guided. I like imagery and stuff like that a lot, and it's kind of like you're having a low key like psychedelic experience once you get
I've heard that.
enough into it.
Yeah.
Can be
I've
on a
heard
good
that.
day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've heard people like talk about this, and they're like, it's hard to get to that point, but when you like you're in a good practice of it, and you every so often you get into that like almost psychedelic state. I'm like, that sounds wild.
It is. Yeah, and like I said, on a good day, it doesn't happen all the time, but
Yeah,
even when it doesn't, it's definitely a great stress reliever.
yeah,
And I'm all about rewiring like my brain, like the trauma brain, like
right.
reteaching yourself, uh, rewiring. I don't know, but subconsciously getting in there and fixing little, things that we may have picked up throughout our lives that
Yeah,
are holding us back in
yeah.
these ways or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to start doing guided meditation. So I
Sweet.
will keep you posted about
Yeah,
that.
please. Who do you what guided meditations do you typically lean towards? Who does them?
There's this one guy, Michael Seeley, and he is on
Okay.
YouTube, and he's just my favorite guy. But I oftentimes I just kind of go to YouTube and I'll type like guided meditation for blank if I'm anxious for
Right.
anxiety,
Right.
for insomnia, for gratitude,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
And
Yeah.
there's just so many good ones on YouTube. I haven't even really I've been using just YouTube for like years for my guided
Yeah.
meditations and
I've
they
been
update them a lot.
my mom actually just I got his book for my birthday last year. I don't have a whole lot of time to read. I need to make more time. But have you ever heard of Jay Shetty?
Yeah, what did yes, I
He
have.
just
Why do
wrote a
I know him?
book. He went to I forget what country, one of the monk countries, became a monk, was a monk for like 5 years. Whoever the head guy is was like, hey, I think you're going to be more valuable to your life and to other people's lives if you leave the sanctuary and go back to the States
Hmm.
and share what you've learned. And that's exactly what he's done. He's created a whole business about like helping people like learning how to meditate and like self-development stuff. He actually has a podcast as well. But that's
I'll
who
check
I
it out.
typically lean towards. But he does a lot of great guided meditations.
I've definitely come across him on YouTube then
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I like I said, I do it every day and it sounds
yeah,
really familiar, but
yeah,
I'll look into him more.
yeah.
That's dope.
So I ask every guest this. I'm ready to get back into the music. But what have been
Yeah.
some of your greatest achievements and most memorable times that you've had in the industry so far?
Definitely performing on stage at Wakaan was
Yeah,
probably number one.
I want to
Oh,
go.
oh my God, it was so fun. And it was my first time, well, actually it was my second time going as an artist too. So it was just a different experience than being
Nice.
a guest at a
Yeah,
festival.
yeah,
Um, not necessarily, well, yeah, okay, it was better for me because that's what I always wanted. But like I love being a guest at festivals too, not
yeah.
not to take away from that or anything. It was just different.
Right.
But it was incredible and like Pat was there and we don't get to spend much time anymore together because we're not living in New York anymore. Um, yeah, it was the
What
best.
you talked about him earlier? What does Pat do again?
Jenga.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
I
just a good friend of
Yeah,
mine.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
I didn't know Jenga's real name, so I was like, wait.
well, it's funny because I was actually supposed to perform with Max at Wakaan, that same
Yeah.
festival, and I didn't realize that Max was playing Prototype was playing the pre-party, so I bought my
Uh,
ticket for the wrong day. So
oh.
and it was all last minute. I didn't even know I was going to go to a con until a week before, and I missed our our performance. But we had
Uh,
a really cute. It was before we were dating, and I did get to hang out with him for like the whole night one night until he had to get back on the bus and go to the airport. But
yeah.
we had a really cute little rendezvous at Wakaan. So it sucked that we didn't get to
Nice.
perform
Yeah.
at the time, but we still got to hang out. So that was great.
Now
Oh, go ahead.
you guys perform quite a bit together now. You've
Now
done
we
like
do.
yeah.
It's funny because we tried a few times before and like something would always go wrong. Like we tried we tried in Ohio one time, and this is embarrassing, but I was literally coming off of the Friendship cruise, Destructo's cruise,
Yep. Yep.
literally straight off of the Friendship cruise after like partying super hard for 3 days, straight to Ohio to sing at the show. And I drank to like I was just a wreck. You know, the day after a festival
Oh yeah.
vibes, you're just a
Yeah.
wreck. And I got too drunk and I was like, I have to go back to my hotel. Like I can't I
Oh,
can't do this.
that sucks.
Um yeah, embarrassing story. But yeah, now we do it all the time and it's hilarious.
Why do you say it's hilarious?
Just that we tried
Oh,
before and it wouldn't
gotcha.
work. And it's
Yeah.
just like now it's just like super normal thing that
Yeah.
we get to do all the time, which is awesome. But
So I'm there's this has been a hot topic, obviously, in our world, and also just on every interview I've done. How has your coronavirus been?
it's brought me so many blessings, and uh, Max and I probably wouldn't have been able to start dating if it hadn't been for
Yeah.
coronavirus because his tour got canceled.
Yeah.
And oh, that was another time that we tried to perform again and it didn't work out. So there's been three times. The first time I got too drunk. The second time he was playing in Fort Collins, Colorado, and my little sister lived like 2 blocks away from the venue at the time. So I was like, sick, I'll come out and I'll stay with my sister. I'd been meaning to do that anyway, and we'll do some of our songs live. And the morning of our show was the day that everything got shut down and
Oh,
the show got canceled
damn.
and we didn't even see each other.
That
So
sucks.
yeah. And then Wakaan after that didn't work
Yeah.
out either. But yeah, coronavirus has been it's been good for to me mostly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, just because also I leaving New York, I was able to get my dog back that I had left with my friend in Portland when I went to New York. And it was always the plan to get him back, but
Mm.
he's a rescue and he's got anxiety, so I couldn't have
Uh,
him in the city.
yeah, no.
Yeah, so now we have our doggies in our house, and I really like Nashville. I haven't been able to experience it at all because everything's closed. But
Right.
I've made really cool friends out here. Like Max has a really great friend circle
That's
out
awesome.
here and stuff. So yeah, I like it. It's been overall good to me. Definitely a little bit of anxiety and weirdness and missing shows a lot. That
Oh
was a
yeah.
huge part of
Yeah.
all of our lives, you know.
Yeah,
So
you've done some live streams. You've done a drive-in, at least one that I've seen.
um it wasn't
When was
totally
that?
it wasn't really a drive-in. It was more
Oh,
of just a live stream with production behind it.
gotcha. Okay.
Um, it looked like a drive-in though, and there were
Yeah.
some people did drive in technically, but it wasn't like a drive-in
Wasn't a
show.
show, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I was playing in New York like every weekend, and I was singing jazz in New York too.
Right.
So that's how I made a living there, and that's then all my gigs were canceled, and I was like,
Yeah.
what am I doing in New York?
What are you doing now to make a living?
Well, I have two jobs.
Oh
I'm
boy.
working, yeah, I'm working at this cute little brewery that I love that's really close to the house. They make all the beer in house and like
I
this
love
brother.
beer. I'm a big beer guy. Love
Yeah,
beer.
it's so cool. Like, I love it too. And now I'm learning about the process. It's like
Uh-huh.
actually just like the chillest job ever. Like I literally just pour really good beer for people and get to talk to people
And talk to it, yeah.
and drink beer while I'm there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I've been doing session vocal work since I moved in here, and I was able to do that since I wasn't in like a noisy New York apartment anymore.
Right.
I made this room my studio. So I do session vocal work often. That's a big one. And then I just started doing roadside assistance from home. Like I get up in the morning and I basically am the person when you call AAA and I send the driver out, and it's so random. I hadn't really had a job other than like bartending or just doing
Yeah.
music in so long, but I was just like, I just need something that's just consistent,
Right.
that I don't have to
Especially during
hustle
this
hard.
time. Yeah. During this
Yeah.
time. And then once it's over, I'm sure you'll get back and get gigs and get paid a lot more and not have to
Yeah.
do that.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully. But it's been good
Good.
mostly.
So that's what you do outside of what do you have any hobbies outside of like music or do you just work in
I wish.
music?
Oh, yeah, I totally do. What am I saying? I like to dance. So,
Sweet.
yeah, I had done it. I've kind of done it off and on for like the last 10 years, but I started taking up aerial hoop lessons in Nashville, and now
Oh,
I do.
sick. I think
Yeah,
I've
it's
seen a couple of your videos on Instagram. Yeah.
yeah, I did post
Yeah.
one. I need to post another one now because I've gotten a little bit better, but it's it's really fun. So that is my hobby. I go once a week and I do aerial hoop, and it's just really nice to do something creative that's not like creating music with any pressure.
Yeah.
Like there's no pressure on it
Right, right,
whatsoever.
right. There's no
Um,
deadline. It's just
no
letting yourself be.
deadlines.
Yeah.
I suck at deadlines. Everybody, I'm sorry. I
Right.
I try my best. I have anxiety.
It's all good. I think we all kind of struggle with somewhat of a anxiety issue, especially
Right?
I
How
feel
can you
like
not?
even just like phones and social media and all that. It's just every little factor of what the new age world has a part of it
Oh yeah. I mean,
causes people to have a ton of anxiety.
I have 120 unread text messages on my.
Holy crap!
It's bad. It's bad.
Oh boy.
I'm the worst.
Yeah. Right. Um, so I'm gonna ask another question about Jenga.
Mhm.
You've been talking about him a lot, obviously. How did you guys first meet originally?
Um, so yeah, he was opening for, or might have
Was
been
that the same
headlining.
show that you were telling me about earlier?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he was playing a Heartbeat show. It may have been his album release party. I can't
Oh
really
wow. Okay.
remember. Might have been. But yeah, I sang jazz at one of his shows and he was like, dude, that's so fucking sick. And we just vibed and we've just been close ever since. He was living in New York at the time too. And
Yeah.
he's always around New York and stuff. So
Sweet.
anytime he's in town, we kick it. And I also just love the music that we make together.
Yeah, it's super good. You guys definitely have like a good like whenever you guys work together, it's a very good flow and very like it just sounds right.
Thank
Between
you.
your
Yeah,
voice and his like sound as an artist, like a producer, like it works really well.
thanks. Yeah,
Um,
I agree. He's one of my favorite people to work with, and Conrank as well. Like I
yeah,
feel like we have that just good connection as far as
yeah.
collaboration goes. Um but
I've been a
yeah,
fan.
he
I've been a fan of Jenga for a long time. I would absolutely love to have him on the show. So if he's listening to this, I hope so.
oh, I'll tell him to check it
Yeah,
out. What up?
I would love to have him on the show. He was the first artist that I really got into that was like more on like the experimental bass type of sound.
Yeah,
Um,
he's amazing.
yeah, and if it wasn't for him, Talambi Tribe I think was the first song that I found of his. It's just a random like shuffle song that I was listening to SoundCloud or whatever. I'm
Love
like,
that
what
one.
the hell is this? This is dope.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
good.
yeah,
He's so talented.
very, very. Where do you see yourself going in the future within the music industry from this point forward? Obviously, once COVID goes away.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Well, I don't like to put myself in a box. I think I want to
Good.
continue to do everything because
Yeah.
there's so many things I like. Um, I am going to make an album that's just a Charmae
Sick.
album this year. Can't talk too much about it yet, but
Yeah, no.
it's happening.
Hell yeah.
And it's confirmed and it's going down. And it's just like I just figured that out like last week. I was like, "Oh my
Yay.
goodness."
Congrats.
Thanks. So I mean, I'm gonna put out that song I produced. I'm just gonna put it out there. I don't know what I want to do with production yet. I'm still kind of figuring that out.
Yeah.
I
Still
do
trying
it
to
when
figure
I
out your sound and all that.
yeah, I mean, I know what I feel like I know what my sound is. It's just
Okay.
a matter of finding the time. And it's also intimidating because like I'm not crazy good at sound design. Like I'm just
Yeah.
I'm good at making what I'm creative and that's the part I like about it. But what I need to do is if I either decide take it seriously, or maybe I just collaborate, or I don't know. Like I need to get better at mixing, and I need to
Right.
I just still have a lot to learn to hang with like the big dogs and
Oh
the,
yeah.
because that's what it's about. It's all about
Yep.
the production. So
Yep.
especially as a woman, if you're like using samples and shit, people are gonna talk shit. And it's like
Yeah.
on one end, I think that's bullshit, and I don't think it should matter because I make the shit that I like and I like to do it. But I've definitely felt the pressure just because it is so deep
Right.
with electronic music is all about the production, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Um,
especially bass music too.
bass music in
Yeah.
particular. And
Yeah.
it's not like I can't do sound design. I mean, I definitely did a lot of sound design on the track I'm putting out, but that track took me months to make. So it's not like I'm not at the level that I want to be, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know what to do with it yet. I'm either going to dive back in and go crazy for another 6 months like I did last time
Yeah.
and like do nothing else, or I'm going to figure out another plan
Yeah.
with that.
Hey, at least
Uh,
you're not using ghost producers though. I know that's
yeah, that's whack. That's whack.
yeah.
Um, can't even say, yeah. I mean,
It does
to
happen.
each his own. I mean,
Yeah.
of course it happens, but that's I've also become like very obsessed with doing everything myself, I think.
Good.
It is good, yeah,
Yeah.
but I do want to start like, you know, like you said, co-produce, like stuff like that. Like
Right. Right.
it's okay to sit
Well,
here and
at
say I'm
that
not the
point,
best producer.
it's a huge song that both you guys, both your names are on it. It's not like there's no secrets or anything behind.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's not like
totally.
I'm not gonna call anyone out. I won't even say any names, but I was like, it's
Yeah,
got. Never mind.
yeah,
um,
I feel you.
yeah. um, all right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up. But any special announcements or plugs that you would like to share other than the new album?
Yeah, yeah. So I just recorded a sample pack. That's gonna be coming soon.
Is it vocal or is it
It's a vocal sample
sick?
pack, yeah. So I went out to my stepdad has a sick studio in Ohio, and I went and stayed out there for a week and like recorded like 8 hours a day and just came home with I just didn't even comp anything. I just have all of it. So it's gonna be a process going through it all and mixing it, and it's gonna be a minute. But yeah, I recorded a sample pack. So I'm gonna try to get that up maybe out on Splice or something. I haven't really decided where I want to put it out yet. Um there was something else. Oh, well, I can't say which label it's on, but I have a
Yeah,
pretty
don't.
big I have a pretty big release next month.
Sweet.
So look out for that because I'm really
Awesome.
excited and I really like the song a lot. And it's on one of my favorite labels. So
Awesome.
details about that will be announced soon.
Sweet. I did actually skip. I did want to touch on one thing before we do wrap this up.
Yeah.
I want to know the backstory between you and Prototype.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to like shorten it because I
Yeah.
always blab too long about this story. So he was playing a show in New York, and my little sister was a fan, and I wasn't like I just didn't know his music that well. I'm not gonna lie, but my little sister did, and so she came out for her 21st birthday, and I was pretty good friends with the promoter who was throwing the show that Max played. So I was like, you know, come spend your birthday with me in New York. We'll be in the, you know, backstage for this
Yeah.
show for this artist you like. Just trying to give her like the New York
Right.
21st birthday
Yeah, yeah.
experience. And I asked my friend if he would bring Max over to my apartment for like an after tang because it was for my sister. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it's her birthday. Like, bring him over.
Right.
And
It's for her birthday, right?
yeah, I mean it was at the time. I had no ulterior motives besides it was her birthday and she
I'm
liked
just
it.
giving you shit.
Yeah, I didn't have any ulterior motives yet. But yeah, he came over and like we just ended up talking and like it sounds corny, but it was like there was nobody else in the room and we were taking turns showing each other music and just like
That's dope.
everybody else at the party, like at one point I remember they were like watching us hang out and it was weird for a second. Like, okay, we should probably like talk to these other people too.
That's what happens when you bring the famous guy over. Gosh.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, so after that, we ended up staying in touch for 2.5 years and making songs together long
Wow.
distance. And I would always send him memes. Like we just had the similar taste in memes.
Mhm.
He sent them to me too. So like we always just like were in touch. We never really lost touch after
Yeah.
that night. And then we got to make music together, which was awesome. But we'd see each other at like festivals or shows just like for little blips of time, and it would be like we'd have these little cute rendezvous that only lasted a few hours, and then we'd have to leave. And so when quarantine happened and that show got canceled that I went to see him in Denver for, we actually decided to start like going on FaceTime dates in quarantine.
Oh, nice.
And we would like kind of get creative with our little FaceTime dates. And then it turned into basically just talking every single day in quarantine. And this is when we were like quarantine. Everybody was like at home. Lockdown, yeah. So as soon as things started to become a little bit safer, he asked me to come visit, and I came to Nashville for a week, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And the day after I left Nashville, I was going to Portland to be in my friend's wedding. He asked me to move in, and I told him, I have to think about it. I'll let you know tomorrow.
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna answer right away.
Right.
I'll let you know tomorrow. And it was funny because when I was in Portland seeing my friend, this is actually the friend that was taking care of my dog. So that was also me being reunited with my dog after 2 years.
Yeah.
And Max was actually about to go to the rescue and get a second dog that week.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I had seen my dog. I was like, after seeing him, I had definitely decided like it was time to get him back, whether that meant me leaving New York. It was COVID. New York wasn't the same anymore. And he was just like, well, I literally was going to get another dog this week, right? Like, what? Charlie can just be my other dog.
Right.
Like, it was kind of like we both said like divine intervention at the same time on the phone, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I'm moving in. Yep, let's do it. So we really kind of took a risk and a big jump, but I think we just knew it felt right. And
well, you guys have had years of like rapport building and talking, and like it wasn't just like I just met this guy, I'm moving in. Like
it made sense. And it's been great. It's been we just laugh all day, every day. We're both just goofy as hell, and
that's awesome.
It's really fun. So
that's awesome. All right. Well, I think that's about it. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, my Instagram is kind of my main social media. It's Charmae, Charmae Music, CHARMAE Music. Same on Twitter. My Spotify link is in, I don't know it because there are always those long weird links, but it's in my Instagram bio, and I have all of my collabs on there. Make sure you scroll down to the bottom because they're not all on the featured one. But just Spotify, really. I need to up my SoundCloud game.
Sweet.
Spotify and Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, I know. I remember the first Prototype song that I actually heard with you on it. I actually was looking it up. Run, Cried the Crawling.
Mm-hmm.
That was like one of my favorite Prototype. I'm like, this is so good. And then just so happened that you accepted being on the podcast. So I just want to thank you. Huge thank you to you for being on. It's been a pleasure having you a part of it. So
yeah, thank you for having me. It was awesome to have you reach out to me. And this was my first time doing this, so I would love to do more of this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Really fun. Oh yeah, you're my first.
Well, maybe we'll bring you back on once your album gets released and stuff like that. We'll talk with you about that.
Sick. That would be awesome. Thank you.